We are live. NBA rundown time. It's a great day in Sacramento, Tyler. Nice to see you. First of all, during the intro video, I was laughing. Richie Small says Tyler might be waking up or chasing the dog as the reason we're late. I'm the one who's tired today. Oh my God. Even when I went to 7-Eleven last night at 11 p.m., it was cracking.
Did you talk to the clerk like you did the one in Kentucky for like an hour and a half?
No, it was too crowded. They had business to do. There's girls in purple hair, purple wigs. Oh, it was fantastic. I tried to get a beam picture like you guys talked about, but it was too overcast from where I was at. I wasn't down at the arena. I was, anyways.
We gotta get you like a really, really bright flashlight with a purple lens on it, and on the show you could just flash it around. That could be your beam.
Yeah, a lightsaber?
Yeah, well, we can get you one of those too.
I'll take a purple lightsaber. Other thing we need to do, let's just get this out of the way. Fine, we the people, you were right. Malik Monk outscored Kevin Huerter again. I did not cash in daily fantasy. You get your props there. We always make sure we do that. But, I don't care because a win is a win, right? So I'll gladly be wrong as long as we're up 2-0 in the series now. We'll talk about that later. This game 3 is going to be tough, right? Because
I told you before the show, your team's the best road team all season.
Yeah.
The more you watch them play the Warriors, it's like they are built to beat them, and they look really good playing them. They might steal one of these games in Golden State and come back home up 3-1. So you can be.
And the counterpoint is if Golden State wins 2 straight games, how are we feeling coming back 2-2? No experience in just a 3-game series. So that's that there. And there's a lot of people that obviously all my friends are mostly Kings fans that are acting like we've won.
Where did Fox shooting all these threes comes from? I will say that.
It's this offseason because he was 20% last year.
Even in the regular season leading up to this postseason, he wasn't shooting that many.
It was at 35%, though.
Yeah, but he wasn't shooting the volume. Like, he's letting them fly. He's shooting like 6 or 7 a game now.
I'm fine. I'm fine with that.
I mean, I know you're fine with it, but...
Yeah, I mean, it's a pleasant surprise. And that was one of the reasons that people like how
we got to talk about, though. Who is at fault here? The Kurt Angle ankle lock or Draymond trying to run down the floor with a guy attached to his foot? Because I don't know about you, Spread, but if you fell at my ankles and I tried to run and you got my ankle locked up like that, I'm probably going to step on you by accident.
Or on purpose? Like, why are you grabbing ankles?
You're just holding on to me, and I got to go. Like, yeah, I might just step on you, but...
Yeah.
I think it was more of Sabonis holding on to him. And that screenshot where it looks like Draymond's like stomping him out is so misleading. He didn't even drop the foot off of that picture.
Yeah. I mean,
if it wasn't Draymond, I don't think it would have been as bad.
I didn't want I want to defend my guy, but yeah, I mean, he kind of did.
If that's anybody else, they don't get ejected. It's not that big of a deal, I don't think. Yeah. Except maybe Marcus Smart.
Matty Ice makes a good point here, and I did want to talk about this. Is this a case? Is Mike Brown really becoming that good a coach? Or is this, and I'll take it back, and half of you won't remember, but I'm wearing my Raiders. When John Gruden played against his old team, it was one of the best coaching performances of all time, right? Because he's playing against his old team.
And not just Mike Brown. I mean, Luke Walton kind of laid the blueprint. He was starting to build this team. But
my point is, he was with the Warriors for 5 years. He knew exactly who to attack. He knows what Kuminga's weaknesses are. He knows what each player doesn't like.
You guys' weaknesses to where, some of them old guys they wouldn't know.
Whereas, I don't think Kerr or either of those guys are even looking or thinking about the Kings until the series got set, right? So Mike Brown has 5 years of scouting on the Warriors, where the Warriors are starting.
It's funny talking about Mike Brown as a good coach, though. I will say that. When 10, 12 years ago, he was LeBron's little puppy that he just took to the playoffs every year. Then he got rid of him.
This comes up, right? Because when people get hired, right, they go, oh, we don't want to retread. But the reality is, in my mind, and I've heard Mike Lombardi talk about this too in the NFL, don't I want a guy who's made mistakes that can learn from them? Because if you think about it, right, it's just like you don't, in hiring, like if you're going to hire an executive, I want an executive with no experience, right? I want someone who's run a company before.
Yeah, definitely.
When you come in, you go, okay, this is what I did right. This is what I did correct. So you have something to improve on. So sometimes I don't think being a retread is that bad, especially if you've learned from your mistakes. Looks like we have our guy AP here. AP.
Hey, what's going on?
What a great time to join.
My apologies for being tardy.
No, hey, I was almost late too.
The screenshot you put out, I don't think there's any apologies for being tardy. You can show up whatever time you want.
Oh, it was a fun night. I mean, it's definitely a fun night too for spread. I mean, what a game. What an absolute game. Except for my only beef was that last play that didn't mean anything at all. Fox to Sabonis. That definitely killed me, but it is what it is.
Would you have got first if it wasn't for that?
Yeah, if they would. So if they would have missed that three, then they just run the clock out. So really, I should be blaming Klay Thompson, but yeah.
Well, fantastic, and congratulations. We are glad to have you here. We're going to do some general playoff talk, though, before we dive into tonight's slate. Is that okay?
Yeah, love it.
You got time for us today?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
You don't have to get out of here and make another heat nap. Fantastic.
No, it's already up. That's the thing I love about the play. I love doing my work in the morning, and I know everyone makes fun of me and my stuff's up early. Well, in the playoffs, these guys are going to play. Like we saw with Josh Hart. He was doubtful, and I'm like, there's no way he's not playing. His rotation looked good, unless there's something I missed. He's playing tonight. So that's what I love about the playoffs. Everyone, if they can, they're showing up to play.
Yeah, I agree. I do the writing as well. And, finally I can start working on player props and stuff the day before rather than just waking up and doing them that morning. So, I've already gone over some of tomorrow's games as well. But let's go. Overall thoughts. I was saying to Tyler right before you got on, I'm cautioning some of my friends who feel like we've won this series. No, we just won 2 home games. If the Warriors go back home, and this is a completely reasonable possibility, and they win both games in the Chase Center, where they've been one of the best teams all year, right? I mean, them or Memphis, probably even the Warriors have the greatest disparity in home road splits of all the playoff teams. It's not that crazy, the idea that they go home, they win 2. Now they're coming in off 2 games of momentum. All that playoff experience comes in, and now we have a 3-game series. What do you feel about the Kings and the Warriors? And do you think the Kings can get this done?
Yeah, I mean, you gotta go in and win on the road. You got to beat the world champs at their house, and that's going to be tough. I think it would really help them if Draymond was suspended. I mean.
Do you think he will be? I don't.
I don't know. I don't think he should be.
We talked about that right before you jumped on. Who's at fault here? Kurt Angle on the ground pulling an ankle lock, or the guy trying to run down the floor?
I mean, yeah, it's the playoffs. Unless it's incredibly egregious, I think you should err on the side of just this series. One thing I'm really surprised about is how physical the Kings have been. I did not see that coming, Spread. Your team they're playing hard, man. Davion Mitchell, who was a hero for me last night. Mm-hmm. This dude's playing Steph Curry better than anyone I've seen play him at all. It's really, I love what they're doing with their rotations. Obviously it helps, having a coach that, won a world championship with the Warriors, who knows this team inside and out. Mm-hmm. And you see it with the adjustments. You see it with Malik, them going small, then Sabonis at the 5. Keegan Murray, I was trying to tell our boy Steve Boynton, don't play him. He's just not a factor in this series. I couldn't even imagine clicking his name. They're going small. Davion Mitchell's been incredible. Malik Monk, another hero. He's been freaking incredible. He wasn't even I thought he had an average game yesterday. He wasn't hitting some of those shots that he was hitting before, but he still made so many impacts on both sides of the court. Like, it was really, really impressive. I think Harrison Barnes has really stepped up and is playing really good. I like where your Kings are at, but now the series switches back. The Warriors are at home. You're going to get the whole, Warriors, a chant that just annoys the shit out of me. And it's a fun series right now. I think it goes probably 6-7 games, probably 7, and it's going to be a battle.
Yeah, definitely. So interesting line movement here, right? This game came out at 7. Bet to 8.5 right off the bat, right? Wake up this morning, it's back at 7. It's an interesting situation here, and of course, we'll get into that more on Thursday. But I was loving the double digit alternate spreads yesterday. I was a donkey. I was on that side. I don't know if I can get behind it. This Kings team is playing like they're coming to play with how physical they are. I was really impressed by them. I guess it'll be telling, but I see no reason why. Like, the ball's in, the Warriors' courts. They got to find an adjustment that they can make. They don't trust Jordan Poole at all. He's been an absolute joke and embarrassment. This dude is on the bench, giggling, and who knows what he was doing. This is late in the fourth when the game was basically over, just giggling, having a good time. Not if I'm in his spot and I'm a key player on that team, I would have a different, mentality out there. So I don't know if the Warriors are as locked in as we think.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't want to underestimate.
I know it's playoffs too, fellas, but hypothetical trade package, get Jordan Poole to Atlanta where he could just chuck a bunch of shots, and let's try and fix Trae Young in Golden State. Let him follow right behind Steph, and it's just all right, buddy, you got to learn everything right here.
No, Atlanta's not doing that.
Monk's not better than Herter. Herter is there's reasons why he's out there. He stretches the floor. He has some size. He actually plays decent defense out there. He just brings a different dynamic. You need his shot making ability out there. Monk's just different. He's a gamer, man. He can get to the rim. He can do those different things. You need that shooter out there that's Kevin Herter.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Before we run down Jordan Poole too much, I just want to point out he is playing on an injured foot, and this isn't. I mean, he's
been like this 100%. Though, just bad shot selection, just doing dumb stuff out there. So it's I don't think he's a high basketball IQ player for the Warriors. And AP, would you agree that Malik Monk's basically the new age J.R. Smith? When he's on, he's going to give you 30.
He's a way smarter player, though, and he's more effective. Well, maybe not. I don't know.
You think even on defense? I mean,
I think they're kind of the same guy. He's just got the new age basketball look.
I've been impressed by Fox. I've been impressed by Mitchell. Those two guys. Sabonis. After this stage, there's a huge problem that you guys deal with. Spread Sabonis can't do anything in the paint. I mean, he hasn't been a good rim protector, so that's going to be a problem if they were ever to make it all the way to the championship and face a team like Boston.
This team wasn't built to win a championship. I mean, this team was built to do what they're doing right now, and a 16-year playoff drought. Bring some excitement back to the city, and then we'll see where we go from there.
If they get past the Dubs, though, I do like them against the Lakers. I think that would be a pretty interesting matchup. So I know a lot of people will probably be on the Lakers.
Terrible memories, and I am so worried it's going to happen.
I think that because you can, maybe you speed up the Lakers too, like you did the Warriors, and you can run them up and down the floor, tire those guys out. I just don't see AD's going to maul them inside. The rebounds they're getting against the Warriors won't be there. They can kind of clamp on defense where the Warriors can't. I think the Lakers just kind of smoke them. They're getting every call in that series too.
Yeah, good points.
All right, the other game. So, how is it 15 minutes in the show? I haven't brought this up yet. Tyler, we're going for something very important tonight. We should have tracked the whole season. That was, the part of installing a new playbook and not really, we're learning as we go. But we started tracking on December 1st. Tonight, like a great baseball pitcher, we have our chance for our 300th win, right? And hey, that would be no good if we had 500 losses. But Tyler, let me pull this up. 243 losses. So We're up on the year. We're going for that 300th win. We should have got it last night, but I miscalculated on the Sixers and the Nets. One thing I did get right, is I said the Nets don't have any adjustments to make. The Sixers will cover the spread. We should have put that on there. Disappointed in myself there. We thought they were going to score a lot more points, though. That was an ugly game. What did you see in the Sixers Nets, and how do you think we got that handicap wrong?
I mean, I don't think we really got it wrong. They weren't hitting threes like they did in the first game, so that kind of slowed the total down. And they didn't shoot as many free throws as we expected. So where we thought the points were going to be scored, if the shooting did regress, it wasn't scored. So that's where we lost out on that. I mean, we didn't play the side. We thought Brooklyn could kind of maybe keep it closer in this game. They did. And then late in the fourth, Philly was able to pull away. I think they covered the spread by 4 points. So it's not like they ran away with it in the end. And you could have backdoored it late. They missed a couple shots. So it's a miss on the over. But at that number, I'm still going to play it again if they set it right around there.
Yeah, I thought it was an interesting situation. Of course, we did get that Kings-Warriors under. That was an easy one. So we went 1-1 last night, but we're going to do even better tonight. AP, did you watch the Sixers and the Nets? Here's my main takeaway. This Nets offense or Nets team, they go small, right? That was pretty cool, right? It kind of flummoxed the 76ers at the beginning because when the 76ers are on offense, they don't have anyone really to target in the switches. It's almost like they're all the same defender, right? So you're not getting these huge advantage matchups. The problem is when the Nets are on offense, they can't get any advantage matchups because it's all the same player, right? I mean, yes, Mikal Bridges is a little better shot creator. Spencer Dinwiddie is a little better shot creator, but they don't have a number one. They don't have a guy that can just abuse a mismatch, even if you get a defender you want to target, like James Harden or Tyrese Maxey, if he's too small, right? It just felt like even though the Nets have that versatility on defense, they really have no one to attack the Sixers' weakness with on offense. What did you see?
Yeah, so a couple things, and this is where my edge was on yesterday's slate. When you look at it, and when you're looking at this, like let's just say it's a regular season game, you have one game that has a 240 total, you have the other that has a 210 total. You in the playoffs, you throw all those things away. I don't look at that at all. All I care about is pricing, looking for opportunities there and rotations. And I liked what the Nets did. They went small. I kind of thought that they might do that too because their only way of maybe stealing a win against this team is to continue to double Embiid, and you got to hit outside shots. They started doing that in the first half. I think they got tired legs. I think it's, Mikal Bridges carrying this team. Cam Johnson was an absolute hero. He was a stud. But when you look at Cam Johnson, he did all of his damage in the first half. I think 41 minutes for him. Think about his season when he was with the Suns. We never saw, he was injured most of the time. I think he maybe played like 25 to 26 minutes on average with them. And then even with the Nets, we never saw him play heavy minutes. And so I thought what you saw, and you saw him miss a lot of shots there in the fourth, a lot of key shots, a lot of three-pointers that he was hitting in the first half. It was tired legs. The Nets should, they're in a good spot once they can get rid of Ben Simmons. And I think the problem in a perfect world, I think Phoenix is going to kick themselves. You got rid of Cam Johnson. You got rid of Mikal Bridges. I think these two guys are studs. I love what Cam Johnson can do. He can hit outside shots. He's a long dude. I think he'll grow into being a good player defensively and offensively. And then Mikal Bridges is really coming to life too. But without a true alpha, you're asking these guys to do a lot. It's absolutely the worst matchup possible, I think, against the 76ers. Because it's if you don't double Embiid, what is Embiid going to do? He's going to take over. We saw that yesterday when they went away from the doubles. He got whatever they want. They had nothing. Literally no one could stop him. He just got whatever he wanted. And when they doubled him, now you're leaving Maxey open. Now you're leaving Tobias open. You're leaving these guys open, and they're going to hit those outside shots. And so it's just a really bad matchup. I think it's going to be a pretty quick series. But you got to love the tight rotations from a DFS standpoint. The one thing I'll continue to say is it'll be interesting to see if this trend continues. So in the playoffs, and I know it's a small sample size, Maxey's been awesome. If you go back to last year at home, he's been awesome at home. And Tobias Harris, too, has been really consistent in the playoffs. It dipped off a little bit in the road games last year. So it'll be interesting to see if you see any dip off from there. But again, I think going into game 3, I think the Nets are going to do – I think you're going to see Cam Johnson, 41 minutes. I think you're going to see – what else can they do? They have no other options. They got to run these guys out as much as they can. I think Dinwiddie, he needs to – like when you think about the Mavs last year, Dinwiddie got Dinwiddie and Brunson, so maybe it was more of like Brunson being the hero. They got 2 wins without Luka. I mean, you guys remember that, right? Those games where it was like Dorian Finney-Smith.
I felt Brunson. That was a lot of Brunson, though. That's why
a lot of Brunson. Yeah, we're starting to see that.
I feel that Brunson upped his price tag by about $20 million in that series.
Yeah,
right. When
we're already seeing it too.
Without Luka, yeah.
So I think it's just right now, like if you're talking as far as like matchups go, Nets don't stand a chance. Really bad matchup. Sixers are going to get it done probably in 4 if they stay motivated. They can get it done in too many different ways. Maxey, Tobias Harris, Embiid. I will say the one thing, because Boston I think is the team to beat in the East. I think we probably all agree on that, right? I mean, it'll be interesting if I always thought the key for Philly is Maxey. If Maxey can really do what he's been doing the last few games, I think that's going to be huge for them. So we'll see. Because I think Philly is better when they're not dependent on like going 100% through Embiid. You know, same with like Harden. When those two like feel like they have to take over, it puts a lot of pressure on them. They're a better team when Maxey's going off, when Tobias is doing his thing. So it'll be interesting to see how they match up to Boston.
I think they get smoked by Boston. I think they would need everything to go right their way because they don't have the depth off the bench. They're losing all the bench minutes to Boston. If they do clamp down on Maxey and it's just now Embiid, because I don't think Harden's the same guy. Yeah, he put up 23 in game 1. 21 of those points came from behind the 3-point line. You seen last night when they played, those threes don't fall. I think he finished with like 11 points. I don't see him taking over games anymore. He's just not the same guy. So they would just need everything to break right their way against the Boston. Like I think Boston could play a bad game, win some bench minutes, and in the fourth quarter they're there, and it's like, all right, Tatum and Brown go win us the game. To where Philly's played a perfect game.
You know what they could do, and I don't think Doc Rivers is like sharp enough to do it, but Melton's been good, especially off the bench. You get Harden, like if he's getting tired, does a Doc Rivers have the stones to let Maxey run the offense? We already saw that late yesterday. Maxey, it wasn't Harden running the offense. The ball was going. Maxey was the guy with the ball in his hand. Harden was working off ball. It seemed like it anyway. Do they have the stones to go Maxey, Melton, Tobias, and bench Harden? I mean, who knows? They're going to have to get creative. Like, I agree with you. Like, the Celtics are going to be so tough. Man, and they can make life just so tough on Embiid, too. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be an interesting series.
And then just to touch back on the Philly-Brooklyn series, there's going to be one of these games where I think Embiid just drops, maybe 50 points in one of these games. Do you think they go away from these double teams in game 3, 4, or maybe even 5 if we get there? I think one of these games, they just got to say, you know what? If the dude scores 60 and the next closest scorer has 12, we might have a good chance at winning instead of letting these guys just rain threes on us.
If I'm them, I think you have to stick with the double, and you got to hit threes, though. Like Joe Harris, when you come in, you got to, he had 2 open looks this last. You got to hit those shots. Royce O'Neal, same thing. The problem is they just pick on Joe Harris when he's in there. He can't play defense. So they're in a tough spot, man. A really tough spot.
Yeah, they're dead. We're just trying to dance around that.
AP, I'm looking at this game for game 3. The Nets are catching +4.5.
I don't agree with Spencer Smith. I thought Tobias has played really good. I thought last 2 games, again, it's a perfect matchup for them. So put him up against the Celtics, it's going to be completely different. But I thought, you got to get, he's been exactly what you need him to be so far. I don't know if it continues. I'm with you. Against the Celtics, it's a different animal. All those guys have to play perfectly, though, if they want to win that series.
All right. For this game.
Joe. He meant Joe Harris. I thought he meant Tobias Harris.
Oh, okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm not even a Tobias Harris guy. I got to say that too. I've never really
Joe Harris is running with that.
I don't think there's many Tobias Harris guys out there, AP.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Joe Harris kind of running like Davis Bertans, and there's a couple others, right, that have shot 40% from three in their contract year. They get the huge contract, and then without that shooting, not much that they add to the team. So, we kind of got to give him credit there about Joe Harris, and the chat's loving that. But AP, since I'm not going to have you here Thursday, I mean, obviously, you don't have to bet every game, but if you were to bet this, would you take the plus 4.5 with the Nets?
Ooh, man. That's a good question. I don't know, man. It's like, can they do it through 4 quarters? Like, you've seen a team that just gets tired. And this game 3, it's like, if Philly comes in and gets this game and they win big and they do it in the same fashion they have been, then you see game 4 it's just one of those where the game gets out of hand early and they're demoralized. So if you're going to back the Nets, this game 3 is probably the one to do it in. But and the total, I can't. I was on the overs. I'm like, Nets are going to just chuck threes all game. It didn't matter. The pace was so slow. It just did not matter at all.
All right. Let me see. Do you have any thoughts on any of the games being played tomorrow? Lakers and Grizzlies, Heat, Bucks, and Timberwolves, Nuggets. Any quick takeaways from those, AP, since we won't have you here tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, I like the Lakers. I like if the role players continue to play like they have been, I mean, that helps them out. Takes pressure off LeBron, takes pressure off AD. D'Angelo Russell's been decent. So, like the Lakers, and these spreads are pretty good. I mean, I could see the Bucks coming out and just smashing. Obviously, if Giannis is a full go, I could see them just coming and laying it to Miami. So, and the Bucks too. So here's an opportunity. The Bucks, they're a team that always seems to get stronger as the series goes on. So, like, I'm not concerned at all about them. I thought there would be a little bit of a hangover this first game 1. I think they get it right. Even without Giannis, I would have them over the Heat in this series. So I don't know. There's going to be some opportunity with Milwaukee here soon.
All right. There you have it. Let's move on to tonight's games. Unless there's anything else, AP, any other hot takes you need to get out there for the people? Anything that I missed that I didn't ask about?
I mean, the Nuggets, they're impressive. I would struggle to take the Timberwolves. I don't really believe in the Timberwolves. So you got to like what you saw in the Nuggets. I think that line is spot on.
It's so funny how much better the East is than the West this year. Right? You got Miami and playoff Jimmy as the 8th seed in the East, right? I mean, that's like the legitimate team that you're scared of. The Timberwolves feels like it's just an exhibition game to get you warmed up for round 2.
Yeah, the more I think about it too, the Nets feels like a trap, man. I thought Philly was going to sweep the series. You got to stick with it. I think it's just a bad matchup. It's a bad matchup, all the way through. So,
yeah, we'll talk about that one more tomorrow. I'm glad actually we don't have to make a pick on that one today. And all right, you don't think it's that great? Okay. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, they have the best 3 teams up top, and
I think it's like I think it'll be fun to watch, but I think in the end we're still going to get the team we always thought was going to come out of the East.
Who's that? Because we've disagreed. I said Milwaukee. You guys say Boston.
I just think it's Boston with the injuries that Milwaukee's already dealing with.
I have to change now, but I mean,
I think it's Boston because look, these guys, they have the rotation. There's no fatigue. You got. Like, I've been so impressed with Derek White. Like, I think he's been such an X factor. This dude is down in the post, like guarding down in the post. And this isn't like a playoff thing. You saw this during the regular season. So they got 6 dudes that can play, that can defend 1 through 5. And we haven't even seen like the full run of Bob Williams yet. They're tough, man. I don't see anyone beating them in the East. So
I was against them because I thought maybe the coaching would give them a bit of problems, but they look like they're starting to hit that stride too, where they're just going to start crushing teams.
Yeah.
The chat agrees with you. The chat is loving Boston right now. Oh, well, now we know why, because the East plays defense. No wonder we, the people, hates them.
It's all these games have together. You don't enjoy, like, how do you not enjoy these games? Like the physicality and just, like I thought yesterday, I went 1 for 2, but I thought the easiest bet on the board was like the unders in the Kings game. Like I just, like 240.
So that was an RPB play, and we screwed up the under on the Philly game, and I'm taking the L on that one there.
Well, I was on the over too in that game, so I was taking an L with you.
And I'll defend my position one more time. My idea was that Philly was going to blow them out, and that we weren't going to get that hard-nosed basketball because the Nets were going to be down 17. That didn't happen because Philly didn't shoot well to start off, and they only scored. What I text you, Tyler, at one point?
They scored like 12 points in a quarter.
It was like they had 12 points with like 3 minutes to go in the first quarter. Yeah. All right, let's dive into tonight. I just bet Joey works baseball.
Kings Celtics final would be terrible. We don't want that.
Are you trying to get kicked off the show?
No, it's good point.
Tell me you need to go.
Good point. I just meant like, that would be tough. That would be really tough.
It would be. Do you remember what happened when we played in the regular season? And it was a terrible scheduling spot for the Celtics. Like it's like the end of a West Coast road trip. They're tired. They're beat up going into the game, and they still came in and defeated us pretty easily. Oh my gosh! And you guys just want my life to be terrible, don't you? Everything's just going too good in my life, right?
I don't like if the Lakers can get out of their side of the bracket. You got Phoenix, you got the Clippers. I mean, like the Nuggets. I don't know, man. It's going to be tough for the Lakers.
Yeah, they've looked good so far. As the number one Lakers hater in the internet gambling Twitter, it's been a rough time for me. But let's talk about tonight's games. The Atlanta Hawks are plus 10. They're plus 10, Tyler. They were pretty close to about plus 10 by the time this game closed on, what day did they play? Saturday, right? And the score at halftime was 74-44. But let's be fair, the Hawks shot 1 of 16 from 3 in that first half, right? We got to expect that they're going to shoot a little better. Also, is Boston going to take their foot off the gas? I mean, does this just feel like an easy win? Felt like they took their foot off the gas in the second half of the game on Saturday. They almost backdoor cover that thing. The final score ended up being 112-99. So you got to think the Hawks have room for improvement. I'm leaning towards taking the Hawks now, Tyler, but I had to talk to you because that feels gross, ugly.
I'm going to stop you right there. If you want to click that 10.5 on the Hawks.
Yeah.
Cross your fingers that you'll get it anyway because it's 1-10, but just take the Boston win margin 1-10 plus 180. I don't think they lose this game in Boston. I don't think Atlanta has that pathway to winning it unless they just rain home threes. So I think if you like the Atlanta plus 10, you just take the Boston to win by 1-10. You get a much better number at plus 180. And if you like the Boston side, you just lay the points, and you could even alt line this up to, I'd say, 15 because Atlanta, you said they shot 1 for 16 in the first half. They only shot a total of 29 threes. You're not going to beat a Boston team only shooting 29 threes. You're going to have to let those things fly. They're going to do their best to keep you off that three-point line. They made Trae Young's life a living hell in game 1. They're going to do that again. And DeJounte Murray doesn't seem like he's having much of an effect either. So I think Boston just kind of names their score tonight. I like that 1-10, though, because you did say they almost backdoor covered. I can see that happening again here. So I'm going to take that Boston wins by 1-10 plus 180.
All right.
Talk myself right into it.
What do you think about this game? I think the Hawks will do better. I think it'll be a losing effort eventually, but I don't think it's going to be the embarrassing game that it was. To be fair, though, this is a terrible matchup for Boston, right? And I've said this 1,000 times, so the chat's probably sick of me by now. But the Hawks versus the 76ers and the Nets versus Celtics would have been much more entertaining series in my mind, just the way the teams match up, right? So this is just such a bad matchup because it's just like they just do everything but worse, right? I mean, it's like they run their offense through Trey, who's a little worse than Tatum, right? They have the same size teams. Go ahead.
Yeah, so and this is where like Boston, I mean, they're a complete team, but you gotta like what you're seeing with like their coaching and stuff too. They were just inviting DeJounte Murray to, take free mid-range jumpers, and he just struggled. Like he finished with 25 shots.
10 of 25. He actually went over his point prop total though, because I think he finished with 21 or 22 points, and it was set at 19.5.
So like we gotta give some respect to like Quinn Snyder though too. His adjustments were good. Now, did Boston get lazy? I think the Hawks capitalized on like 6 or 7 turnovers, converted them into easy buckets. That's going to change a game. You got to think that Boston comes in, they clean that up. There was one thing that I saw in the rotation that I really liked, and it was Bogdanovich. He checked in a little bit before like that halfway point mark in the third quarter. And then he played the entire fourth quarter. They need scoring. They need a shooter out there. So he's someone that could be kind of a spark plug to help them out. And he played well in that fourth quarter. So that's something to look at. The other thing, they got owned on the boards, and they had no rim protection. Like Jaylen Brown is running free at the rim. And Capella, is he the answer? At the very end of the game, they went small. I'm really curious to see what the adjustments are going to be. I kind of like the team. Like if you're trying to protect the rim a little bit better, maybe more Okongwu, or you go all in on a small ball approach and just you try to get into who can make more shots battle with this Boston team, which is hard to do. Really, really hard to do. Probably not the smart thing, but what else are you going to do? The other thing too is like DeJounte, like if they're going to take the pressure off you, they're going to take Trae Young out of the game. DeJounte Murray needs to do a little bit more. He's got to hit those shots too. So I don't know. I think the spread, I think it's tough. Like I think Boston wins here, but I think Atlanta has the pieces to make this a competitive game. We all think it's going to be boring, a blowout, but you have to respect what they did in that second half. That tells me that there's some fight in this team. Quinn Snyder can make some adjustments. I think the key is Bogdanovich. I love him in fantasy formats. I hope we get 30 to 33 minutes from him today. I think you could see all kinds of stuff too with the Hawks. Like if they go small, maybe ditch Capella and Okongwu, move Colin. Like I don't know if they've ever done this either. But they got to do something to just completely throw Boston, like just to confuse them. You know what I mean? Like if you go out there and you play small ball, like I don't think Boston's going to be prepared for that. I think it throws an interesting dynamic at them. And we saw them at the very end of the game. Maybe they get pounded, but Boston's not a team that has like Horford's not like a dominant big or anything like that. I mean, Bob Williams is, but more defensively. They don't have like a dude that's just going to, beat them up in the paint. So I don't know. It's tough sledding for Atlanta. I have concerns about their rotation. Like I can't play Trae Young on tonight's slate. I think he's a liability, and we have a loaded guard position. Like we can play Jalen Brunson for $1,100 cheaper. We can play, I love Marcus Smart, Derek White. You could play Donovan Mitchell for $200 more. Donovan Mitchell is going to play 44 minutes. I know we're going to get to that game, but like Trae Young for me is like an easy cross off because we know Boston's going to take him out of this game. I think DeJounte's in play, but I don't love it. Like I don't like what I'm seeing. And so for me, it's Bogdanovich. And then I think like Hunter, Bay, Collins, these guys are fine, but you don't want multiple of those guys in your lineups. Like I'm limiting like my Hawks exposure to probably like one player from the Hawks in my lineups tonight. So that's how I'm running it. And then on the Boston side, we know what we get. We get a tight rotation. We're going to get 38, 40 minutes from Derek White, Marcus Smart, Horford, Tatum, Brown, and then Bob Williams is going to play probably 28, 30. And then no one else really matters. I'm not playing Brogdon. I'll probably just X him out. I mean, what's your guys' take on Brogdon? I just don't know if they really need him in this series.
I think that I agree. I don't think they really need him, but I think the smart foul trouble could get him there. That's the thing you're hoping for. But he's not priced cheap, is he? All three of those guys are pretty much priced around the same, right?
Well,
I know game one they were.
I think they'll need him in another series, and I think you play him 25, 27 minutes, keep him fresh, and in the next series, like you're probably going to need him, like against Philly. I think that's who they're going to play next, right?
Yeah. One thing I noticed in reference to Brogdon, it seemed like they put Trae Young on Derek White, and so they instead of having other players, initiate the offense, it felt like they're like, well, if you're just to put Derek White on him, we don't even need to pick and roll to put Trae in action because you're putting him on a guy that may not be our primary ball handler, but was the primary ball handler on the San Antonio Spurs when he played there and is capable of doing that. So with them already having that advantage matchup with the player Derek White that they really, trust in this situation to take advantage of the player you want to target the most on the Hawks defense, I think that limits Brogdon's effectiveness because I don't think that they would put Trae on Brogdon. Do you understand my point? So maybe they kind of phase him out on this series because they're saying, hey, Quinn Snyder's just gifting us this matchup where we don't even have to run action to get an advantage matchup that we want, right? Because normally in the NBA set, you need to run an action to if they're doing the soft switch to get the matchup that you want. It feels like Atlanta gifted them the matchup they wanted. So I think that's something to watch early. And of course, you can't live bet DFS, right? But I think that's something to keep an eye on for Brogdon tonight. I would stay away from him, but keep an eye on that tonight. Do they do that with Derek White? And that will help us decide for Brogdon's status for game 3. So I'm fine staying away from him now.
Were you guys surprised we didn't see Grant Williams at all? Like he was a hero in the playoffs last year for them, and he didn't see the court.
I think he's kind of same in that boat with Brogdon right now. I don't think they really need him in the series.
Yeah, I just was surprised at how tight. We knew Boston was going to run a tight rotation. I just did not think it was going to be like a 7-man rotation, basically.
Especially in a game with that point, with the point differential, right?
Right.
I mean, you would think with the huge lead, really surprising. So that'll be something for us to keep an eye on tonight. But I would expect to see more of the same.
You guys think you guys think they put Trae Young back on Derek White because he had 7 assists in game 1. His assist props 4.5 plus money.
That's tough though because it didn't really work, right? That's why I say you got to watch and see. Is Quinn Snyder saying, "Hey, this is the plan. We're going to stick to it, right? This is what I've developed." Or does he
who else
"Hey,
would you put him on?" I mean, Derek White makes the most sense. So that's the Hawks' liability right there.
Yeah, that's a great point. I'm trying to think. Who else would you put him on?
You can't put him on Marcus Smart because I think Smart just takes him down low. Yeah,
that is rough.
That's the only guy. You and then at that point, you're not putting him on the Jaylen Browns and the Jason Tatums of Boston, so it kind of defaults to Derek White. I like that prop.
See, there's so many more guys you could hit him on against that Philly. I mean, I keep harping on how this is such a terrible matchup for us as fans, but that's the case. Tyler, any player props before we move on?
Right now, just that Derek White assist prop sticks out to me at 4.5. And I don't mind like a Tatum 3s or a Jaylen Brown 3s. They both shot 6 and 7 in that first game. I think you see right around that volume, maybe even more here if we get a closer game. And we know those guys can pour it in from 3. There's performance doubles on them. Brown to hit 4 threes and they win right around 3-1. And Tatum to hit 5 threes and they win right around plus 250. So I don't hate either of those.
Why is Jabroni Clyde coming at me so hard today? This is like the 7th derogatory comment I've gotten from my guy. Unbelievable. Are you? You're an RPS member now, Clyde. You should be happy like we are. You bet Joey works baseball all weekend.
The more I think about it, like you got owned on the boards, and that's with playing Capella and Okongwu out there. I mean, wave the white flag, go small, get Bay, Bogdan. Like, I don't know. I think the Hawks need to do something wild like that to make this a game.
I don't be surprised. It's not like Boston's a huge team to begin with, right? They're that wingy, forward type team.
I mean, like you got Capella out there, but it's not like Jaylen Brown's having like a free run at the rim. Like I saw it multiple times. It was like, so it's just like the Hawks need to do something crazy. And I think, in DFS formats, like I'm not playing Capella, Okongwu, kind of interesting, but man, you could play like Zubac for a little bit more. You got to like Zubac's role. So it's like, why take a risk on Okongwu when Zubac just is such a nice spot for him? So I don't know. It's real for me. I like Bogdanovich, maybe a little bit of Bay and Hunter, and I'm limited it to I'm multi-entering obviously, but it's like I want only one of them in my lineup. Like I think one gets there, and that's it. Outside of that, I don't trust the Hawks at all.
Yeah.
One other prop.
You're not going to play any Boston bigs, right? I'm pretty sure that's what I got from your breakdown.
Yeah, I will always have Bob Williams in my pool, and I think Horford is like one of the best plays on the board. So, I think this game could be the Hawks try to make an adjustment. We saw it last year. One of the adjustments is leaving Al Horford a little bit open, and then he just owns you. You start stroking those threes. And I think that this could be the game tonight where people are, and Horford's going to be popular. He's going to be chalky, but maybe not as high owned as he was last slate. And I could see him just like putting up a monster number. So,
all right. Speaking of a monster number, we got a bunch of new people watching the show today. This show is brought to you by RunPureSports.com, the best in sports gambling and daily fantasy information. Head on over to RunPureSports.com. My promo code is Spread15. These two gentlemen will give you theirs as well. You can choose your favorite panel member. Use their promo code. Get 15% off your first month. And Tyler, the membership's been paying for itself and then some, right? Just the baseball paid for itself this weekend. So make sure you're taking advantage of that. We work very hard at our individual sports. We don't try to cross into sports that we don't know. And the results have shown, right? I said, why would I handicap baseball, Tyler? I barely even watch it.
We don't do that. We
bet the plays. Yep. Sometimes we check the scores. Sometimes we just find more money in our account. RunPureSports.com, place to be. Guys, give us the thumbs up. Also, if you're a new viewer, subscribe to the channel. You'll be notified when Run Pure Sports goes live.
Yeah, we got 175 people in here spread, and we got 40 likes. We got to get that number up, but we're not getting the best bets out of us three today. So
yeah, bro, we got to
get that number closer to 100 for us. Yeah, we need at least 100. We got 175 people in here. But before we jump into that next game spread, I found one other prop I like. Trae Young over 4.5 assists. Sounds like a lot. You're getting it at plus 125. We know they're going to hunt him.
Oh, wait. Trae Young is not 4.5 assists.
They're 4.5 turnovers.
I was saying there's no way. That would be like minus 800.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of turnovers, but you're getting it at plus money. You go look at his playoff log against, well, he only played Boston once, but just his last couple of playoff games with turnovers. He's at 5, 7, 5, 3, 10, 6, 5, 4, 9, 6, 6. So the dude's just a turnover machine in the playoffs. At 4.5 plus money, I will take that shot on his turnovers.
All right. Tyler, let's move to the next game. We're going to do it. Yeah, hey, you're right. We got to get to the next game, right? We got to give the people the winners. The New York Knicks are out to plus 6. And you know what? I was thinking, Tyler, what if you just mimic the results of the first game? I got to think you go 2-1. If you just bet Celtics, Knicks, Clippers. Do you think I would go 2-1 there?
I think there's a route you go 1 and 2. Okay. I don't think you go 0-3 though.
Well, that's why we don't just blindly bet this, and we'll break these games down. So this game opened at 5, got bet down to 4.5. Now, as doing the show, or as I've had the computer on this morning, this line's gone from 5 to 6 here. So a lot of people think the Cavaliers bounce back. Tyler, Knicks are your favorite team. What are you expecting from the Bing Bong Gang?
Yeah, I do think the Cavs bounce back right here. I think Mitchell had a great game. Garland was all right. Mobley had a pretty bad game in his first playoff game, which is understandable. He's a young kid, first playoff game. You're going to have some jitters out there. I think he bounces back. Allen will bounce back. I also read something that the Cavs went to the front office of the league and gave them videos on a couple plays where they said Randall was over aggressive. I guess he kicked one guy at some point. They said that they were getting the favorable whistle.
That's pretty normal though for playoffs.
Yeah, I know we see that a lot. And is it just me, or is the next game we see that whistle start to tend to go the other way? Like we'll see some ticky-tack fouls in the Cleveland favor. They'll be able to get to the free throw line a lot more here. So I think they bounce back. I think they pick up the win. 6 might be a little bit too many points though, because Brunson and these guys are going to keep fighting. So maybe a performance double for me, the Mitchell 30+ and they win, or his 5+ threes and they win, because he's let threes fly like crazy.
I mean, not to be a bitter, jilted small town fan or a small market fan, but do you think the they just see that and they're like, New York, we need the Knicks in here, right? And they Jimmy Butler that report that the Cavaliers sent. So that'll be something interesting. And you specifically mentioned that they were talking about Randall being overly physical. Felt like the Cavaliers simply weren't physical enough. I had fun. I was listening to the Low Post yesterday, and they had the Knicks guy on there. And that's where sometimes non-betting media, right, just the guys that just cover the teams, sometimes I feel they default to just whatever happened, last game is going to happen for the rest of the series, right? I mean, he was acting like the Knicks had already won the series.
Of all the series that we've seen start already, maybe the Clippers Suns is the only other one that I would say we have a very good chance of seeing this be just the zigzag across the board, where it's like Knicks game 1, Cavs game 2, Knicks game 3, Cavs game 4, and then from there you get a 3-game series, and it's whoever can steal one on the home floor.
Yeah, and that might be it.
I think
I'd agree with you. The Clippers probably has a better chance than this one tonight. There's a lot of things that the Knicks did that I don't like. What adjustments did the Cavaliers make? AP, what do you think here? The Knicks are +6.
Yeah, I think Cleveland gets a win tonight. I think it's going to be a battle. Like I think this series is another one that's just going to be a ton of fun if you like defensive basketball. And I think it goes back and forth. I can see this series going 7. You got Brunson on one side. You got Donovan Mitchell on the other. When you look at Cleveland, so a couple of things heading into game 2. They dropped, Knicks came in. They stole one game. In a series like this, when you're the team going and playing on the road, these first 2 games, your goal is go 1 for 1, steal a win, and then defend home court. So the Knicks have done that. And I was really impressed. Brunson played I think 9 minutes in the first quarter. He had 3 fouls, racked him up really quick. You gotta admire how the Knicks played, even with Brunson on the bench there. And then in the second half, Brunson played almost the entire second half, and he is who he is. He's awesome. He's way too cheap in fantasy. I think he's a phenomenal play. But what I'm getting at is on the Cleveland side. I mean, when I'm watching this game, we got Cedi Osman on Brunson down the stretch. Are you kidding me? What do you like? I didn't really understand that. I get Cedi was playing he was trying his hardest or whatever, but I thought it was a mistake leaving him out there. I don't know what your guys' thoughts were, but when I look at this Cavs rotation, I see things only getting tighter tonight. Dean Wade, he's not going to see the court. He played 7 minutes. Why?
He was on Brunson sometimes too, and that wasn't.
I see a report that said the Cavs liked Cedi Osman's defense on Brunson too, so expect more of that tonight.
Then bro, you got to just up that projection in SaberSim, right, AP?
I don't. The other thing too is I don't.
Cedi Osman on Brunson.
You're going to get Okoro to start, and then I think as Okoro maybe gets into foul trouble or hits the bench, that's when Osman shows up.
Yeah, I think they could clean up the rotation a little bit. I don't think we see Rubio tonight. Maybe not Dean Wade. Dean Wade was a -14. Karis LeVert was really bad. I think we see a tie rotation. I think 40 minutes from Mobley. I think 42, 43 from Allen again, and same with Garland and Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell was excellent. 14 of 30, maybe could clean that up a little bit. I thought he was awesome defensively.
I did not think so. I wouldn't say awesome. Brunson was cooking him, and I was surprised. That was a matchup they felt like they were going after. And at first, I was thinking Mitchell can play some pretty good defense. Are they just trying to tire him out? But then it was no, this is an advantage matchup. And it felt like in the second half, Brunson got whatever he wanted when he was matched up with Mitchell. I
just think, don't you guys think that I get Donovan Mitchell's the guy, And we always see this in the playoffs. We go back to the bubble. It was, remember, Donovan Mitchell against Jamal Murray. And then it's like, and he feels like he needs to take 30, 35 shots. Like, I feel like with this team, like Garland is a stud, man. Like he's a baller too. I think he's got to get these other guys involved. I think Mobley needs to have a big game. Jared Allen, I think, was fine. He just needs to do what he was doing. But you got to get Garland going a little bit. This is where I don't have a lot of rules with DFS, NBA DFS, but this is one where I'm definitely going to have a rule in MME formats. It's always the Mitchell or Garland. I just don't, with their style of play, I don't see both of them getting there. So that's a hard rule that I'm going to have.
Not a game that has a significantly lower total, and I know we've been having.
I do the same for Trae Young and DeJounte Murray, but I have a hard time playing Trae. I mean, Trae Young did cook Boston.
It's a little different if the total's 231, right? But in a game with 214, yeah, it's tough to put those two high price guys in there. Have to agree.
But again, Donovan Mitchell is who he is. Like, I don't see him changing. I think he's going to go out and chuck 25, 26 shots again. So he just needs to make a few more.
Floor, that's for sure. Great cash play if you can get there. The problem is at 10.2K, where do you find the value to make him a viable option?
Wait, who are you talking about?
Donovan Mitchell, if I want to play him.
So he's 9-2 on DraftKings. Are you looking at FanDuel? This is where pricing is a little bit soft. So this is where I set up my rules. But again, I get aggressive on these projections. I like to, X out a lot of these fringe value plays because they can be kind of trappy. That's why I go back to Bogdanovich at 4.8. I think he could be a key value piece that you need because there's two high-priced guys that could absolutely break the slate. It's KD and it's Donovan Mitchell. Both guys are going to play 40-plus minutes tonight. So, you definitely want Donovan Mitchell in your pool. I also think you want Brunson on your pool. He actually, I believe, leads the slate in total offensive usage. When you look at every player on tonight's slate, if you're looking at what went on last game, it was like a 41% true offensive usage rate. A lot of that came in the second half. Everything was going through him. I don't think that changes either, and he's 7'9". He's way, way, way too cheap. So for the Knicks, I think it's all so Josh Hart's priced up. I think Josh Hart plays. Barrett, I can't play him at 6'8". These guys I'm just crossing out. I don't trust Quentin Grimes. It's Jalen Brunson or Julius Randle. And then it's Donovan Mitchell, Jared Allen, and then Mobley. And then I think you can make a case for Garland, but I don't trust Osman. I don't trust Okoro. So
talk to me about Mitchell Robinson real quick, and then we'll move on.
Yeah, when I look at the center spot, it's another spot where we gotta be smart. And if he gets some blocks, if he gets some, a lot of boards and maybe some random putbacks, he could get there. But that 5.4K price tag, I look at Zubac later on at 5K, and Zubac against, I would much rather play Zubac over Mitch Robb at 5.4. So I'm definitely lower on Mitch Robb.
And guys, you're getting advice from the guy that was one basket away from shipping the whole thing last night.
Assist away. Assist away. And talking to two handicappers up top, over 30 units here on the NBA season, right? We didn't just roll over and start capping NBA the second the March Madness ended and go with whatever's hot. We've been in the weeds. We've been grinding this, right? I mean, hey, there was some tough stretches there, AP. Right, it's some work there. Late December, around New Year's Eve, right? I mean, we're in there grinding these daily fantasy streets, grinding these betting streets. Like our guy Landis says, waiting around to find out if Eric Gordon is going to play or not. For a late scratch here. We put a lot of time and effort into this, and you're getting advantage of that expertise right now for free. Hit that thumbs up button, and of course, if you want the expert advice that people have been using to consistently ship tournaments and win units on the gambling side, runpuresports.com.
I was going to ask our guy AP something. I know you said you don't really like Isaac Okoro tonight. We think they tighten up the rotations. He was the main defender on Brunson, and he's seen a lot of wide open shots that just did not fall for him. If he sees 30 minutes at 3.7, can't that let you stuff two of those 9K guys in your lineup? Like, couldn't that get you KD and Mitchell? And then if they both nuke, now you're golden.
Yeah, that's like these like value, like finding that right value is so key. Like yesterday's slate, it was obviously Davion Mitchell. He was really low owned. So that's where some ownership comes into play. Also roster construction as well. So
or do you maybe like you don't want to route and go Cedi Osman at $2. I think he's $200 cheaper. He might see right around the same minutes if he gets those open shots.
I think you stay away from both those plays.
I'm just trying
unless
to
you're doing 20 or more.
I mean, we have. So when I look at this, that's why I keep going back to Bogdanović, where I want to, because the other thing I did is just you got to take some stands on these plays too and get overweight because there's only 3 games. There's a lot of people that play 150 out there. I had 40 last night. One of the things that I did is I built out scripts. So my first 20 was like my base custom projections that I have. And I just, I ran kind of a floor type build. But then I ran, okay, what if the Nets go away from doubling Embiid and we see an Embiid smash game? That's actually where my build came out of. I was stacking that game. I only had 2 pieces from the later game that was far more heavily owned. So when you run, and all it takes is like getting into the optimizer, and we use SaberSim, and I'll run one set of builds. I'll download the CSV. I'll copy and paste. I know it's old school. I copy and paste it over, and then I run a completely different script. And I just make sure I have no overlapping builds. I think you could do that on these playoff games. I mean, you got to think about it. What if what would it look like for the Hawks to keep that game close? Someone needs to go off. Maybe it's Trae Young. Maybe he just has a hero-like game, and he's going to be super low owned too. So you just got to think about how these games could pan out. And we always Spread. You make such a good point. We all think that game 2 is going to go like game 1, and that's just not the case at all. Like an adjustment that could make is maybe Donovan Mitchell's like, hey, I put too much on my shoulders last game. We need to let Garland cook. And while the Knicks are so focused on Mitchell, maybe it's Garland getting it done. And so maybe he has a game. Maybe it's Mobley bounces back and has a game too. So you got to just, it could easily be
and foul trouble could switch these things up too, right?
Yeah.
Right. Say Mitch Rob gets into foul trouble. Now all of a sudden it's a Jared Allen season, right?
Right.
So you're right. How so many things can be different. I also want to point out, right, Tyler, we're not the only ones grinding. We got guys like We the People who have been chatting with us all year round, breaking down the slate too. So it's not just the information you're getting on the screen. It's the information you're getting in the chat. That's why we love when you join us here at runpuresports.com. Tyler, before we move on, better nickname though. Shark Killer G is killing it. Is Zubac Shakur or Ivanka Trump the better nickname for Zubac?
No, I think this one beats it.
No. I like the other two better. What do you think, AP? Best nickname that our guy Shark Killer put in the chat.
The Zubac one.
You like Zubac Shakur? Yeah, I like Zubac Shakur there. All right, we'll go ahead and I know that's what I was thinking when he was breaking that down about Mitchell.
No, yeah, and I
don't know if he has the basketball.
I'm on Donnie Mitchell tonight, so
yeah.
I just was saying.
Our guy Javon Watts had the best nickname for Zubac in the chat. I don't think it should go on the screen though. He puts it up.
I mean, all right. Let's move on. The Los Angeles Clippers, Tyler, they crept up to plus 8.5 earlier today. As many people think the Phoenix Suns, before the playoffs started, the Phoenix Suns were the favorites to make it out of the West, and why not, right? What a combination there with Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. But the Los Angeles Clippers seem to neutralize that in game 1. And we see our guy, We the People, in the chat. So I'm obliged to mention that Russell Westbrook had one of the best 3 of 19 games in history. And a lot of the things that we criticized him for, lack of effort on defense, low basketball IQ, that was all out the window. And he wasn't able to put the ball through the hoop. And he put on basically a masterclass on how to help your team win when your shot's not falling. Now, the fact that Kawhi Leonard is the unquestioned leader of the team and was kind of demanding the ball in crunch time helped a little bit. But hey, whatever works to get him to be, the best of his capabilities at this point, it seems like Ty Lue and the Clippers found that. We talked about repeating, what happened in game one. I like the Clippers plus the points here, but I think you're the opposite here. What do you think, Tyler?
I mean, as the spread keeps climbing, though, I don't know if I can take the Suns. It just lines up as yesterday's spread. I was one of those guys, Warriors can't lose game 2. I just see it as they were going to win that game. Me and everybody lined up, and me and everybody ripped up our tickets at the end of the night.
That's way different. Different situation. Because the Warriors could lose game 2 because now they go home for 2 games.
Yeah, but there's a big elephant.
If the Suns go down 2-0.
Yeah, but you're not talking about the elephant in the room.
Over.
You're not talking about the elephant in the room. Scott Foster's the head referee.
I knew that was coming.
14-0 against Chris Paul in the playoffs. Yeah, like they're trying to sink them already in the first round. So I mean, if it keeps climbing, if it gets to 8.5, 9, I'll be on the Clippers plus the points. But I think KD wills his team to a win here. You seen the Kawhi game last game. I know KD almost triple-doubled, but I think you see him just pour in buckets tonight, score 30 plus. It might be one of them games where him and Booker score 30 plus and they leads him to a win. They need to play better defensively. Ayton looked like shit last game. I think that's better. I also think maybe they go to that lineup we talked about before the playoff spread. You got to get CP3 off the floor. Like, he's old, he's slow. They hunted him with Terrence Mann right at the second half and into the fourth quarter. That's a young guy that could just chase him around, give him problems. Just go to the Booker, Okogie, Craig, Durant, Ayton lineup and just force them to go against your main guys with a couple of 3-and-D guys and just see how that works for you, because I think that's the better route for them. So in the end, I do think Phoenix wins.
That's not happening.
Well, you don't think it happens? You think they're keeping CP3 on the floor?
Yes, they're going to with him. And if he fails, then they'll just ship him out. And
then they're going to fail at some point in this series, I think, if they leave him out there.
We the People says, what would be the story if KD Suns get swept? CP3's too old. They gave up too much depth, and they needed more time, and then they'll just gear up for.
Then they throw CP3 out to the Wolves, and they just welcome Kyrie with open arms.
Yeah, and I can't wait for him to destroy that franchise too. AP, your thoughts here? I like the Clippers plus 8. That's a lot of points for a team who won game 1 and was cool. We all assumed Kevin Durant was going to be the best player on the floor. Kawhi Leonard was the best player on the floor in game 1. Now, obviously, that can change because KD's that type of guy. But the second thing is the Clippers look like a lot more depth. Felt like they could win the bench minutes and also felt like they did not need to win those starter minutes the same. And Kawhi Leonard and Russell got more help from their periphery pieces. What do you think here? I like the Clippers plus the points. Do you agree?
This game is really tough. I think the Suns bounce back and win. I mean, are we really that surprised? Like, the Suns look like a team that they have stars. They just lack the chemistry. Like, you saw it in the start of this game. Like, Devin Booker was just a little bit off. KD was not as aggressive. He played 45 minutes, but he wasn't that aggressive. 20% offensive usage rate. He was incredible. He was efficient, made all of his free throws. He distributed with 11 assists, 9 rebounds. They got destroyed on the boards. Part of that was Mason Plumlee was a beast off the bench, and then Zubac, that combination right there, and then Russ, 5 offensive rebounds. I mean, that's huge. Like, those offensive rebounds offset a little bit of that 3 for 19. I still think Russ is a liability. I think what you see is just do what every other team does. Leave the dude wide open. Dare him to shoot threes. You know he's going to shoot them, and you got to get the rebounds, though. You can't get owned on the boards, which they did. So that's a problem that the Suns have to figure out. And they're going to run a tight rotation. You don't have those, the Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges, the kind of role players like, hey, your guys' job is to fight for rebounds. It's going to come from KD. It's going to come from Booker. Like Booker had 1 rebound the entire game. Like, he's going to need to bump those numbers up. Like, it needs to be a team effort because, as Tyler said, DeAndre Ayton he has a tough job too. Like, you got Zubac to deal with, and then you got to deal with fresh Mason Plumlee, 2 big dudes that you got to deal with. So I think we see a tighter rotation from Phoenix. We can't get any more minutes from KD. He played 45. I guess you could, but I think you're going to get 45 from him, probably 43, 45 from Booker, and then I think they could clean it up. Like, Shamit, 24 minutes. Like Tyler, what were you saying? Just go Okogie over him for defense, right?
Just get Okogie in there, get Torrey Craig in there. I think that's their best lineup in the playoffs is the Booker, Okogie, Craig, Durant, Ayton. You could play defense, you could shoot threes, and you got 2 studs.
I agree with you. It's just will they do it?
You can't play Biyombo because he can't hit free throws. He's just too big of a liability. You're not playing Wainwright. I think they clean up.
I think you could play Damian Lee off the bench. I will say that. He's played in playoffs before. He can hit some threes.
Like TJ Warren? Like he was a DNP. Like is he just?
I also think that's another guy. Like eventually you just got to let the leash go and just be like, here, just let's see what you got in the playoffs. Like, are you going to be a deer in the headlights and we got to take you off the floor in 2 minutes, or are you actually going to give us something?
I guess none of that solves the main problem, though, is the offensive rebounds, which that's all effort and heart. And that's what Russ is. And that's why he brings value. Obviously,
Aiden's got to be a man amongst boys down there. Go get 12 to 15 boards and just anchor the paint. But I don't think he'll do it.
Yeah, they need – I mean, he took 16 shots. Like, he needs to be more of a defensive presence than offensive presence. They have plenty of offense. Like you would rather have those shots going to KD or Devin Booker, in my opinion, over DeAndre Ayton, who's trying to – a lot of those shots are in the paint against Zubac, who's a good rim – he's a big dude, good rim protector. I mean, those are tough shots.
And just look at how their shots were distributed out. It's like he shot 16, Booker shot 19, Durant shot 15, Torrey Craig shot 12. In no world, I don't care that he went 9 for 12. In no world should Torrey Craig be taking 12 shots. Like Booker and
such Durant a good point too, because Torrey Craig's going to be a chalky value tonight, a 4-2. These are the value plays that scare me. He's probably going to be 30, 35% owned, and he could absolutely tank your lineup. Like, do we see a guy like Torrey Craig going 9 for 12 again tonight? Probably not. Like, I see those shots just like you said, Tyler.
If I say he's getting 12 shots, though, do you roster him?
Yeah.
I don't know what the answer is. I just know he's going to have 12 attempts.
For me, it'd be more minutes. If I knew he was going to get 35 to 38 minutes, yeah, I'm playing him because the shots will come.
I think he will. I think it's going to be a shorter rotation night. I mean, talk about must win.
They don't have many other.
Yeah, and they don't have a lot of options. All right. RunPureSports.com.
Or could they? I mean, why couldn't they switch and go to a vet like Terrence Ross? I know he's kind of cheeks or whatever, whatever the kids say, but
he's just toast. He's got to be.
Is he really toast though? But like when you look at the Clipper side, like if it's like, all right, Eric Gordon's out there, like we could run.
Eric Gordon's way better defense than Terrence Ross.
He could stay in front of Eric Gordon though. Like, his defense isn't great, but he could stay. Eric Gordon's not blowing past him for layups. Like, he's just staying out on the outside shooting threes. Terrence Ross can hang out on him.
But they just put him in action, though.
That's the big problem here is they just fucking hunt these guys down.
Yeah, I mean, the new NBA is just hunt and peck, right, until you get that matchup you want.
On the Clippers side, though, so their rotation makes me a little nervous for sure. Just because Ty Lue, kind of tall, outside of Kawhi Leonard, it's hard to trust anyone else. But I could see more Norman Powell tonight. Like, there's a lot of things that we could see. I was like Terrence Mann played pretty good. Like Bones makes me nervous. Well. Yeah, Terrence Mann.
I think that's the guy that gets the increase because he was the guy guarding CP3, draining him late in that game. Yeah, I think he was looking for that guy. Okay, I thought that was going to be his play in all series. Is who's going to be the guy that drained CP3 like Dallas did, and it took him about 2.5 quarters to figure out that it was Terrence Mann.
Yeah,
but looking at a guy like Norman Powell, what's the difference between him and say DeAndre Hunter, who's going to be probably 4 or 5 times higher owned than him? These are the things for DFS.
DeAndre Hunter can get you more peripherals. With Norman Powell, you're scoring dependent.
There might be like a 20-minute difference between those two guys.
It's the playoffs, though. We know where, you're relying on steals and blocks, and it's just you have such a team in Boston that outside of the second half last game, those turnovers. I don't know if we're going to see them tonight. So what I'm getting at though is a player like Norman Powell, I could see him playing 33 minutes tonight, 34 minutes tonight, especially if the Clippers are trailing. We all think the Suns are going to take a lead. They can't do what they did last game. like get behind by like 15 or whatever it is that they did. They got to get a lead. If that happens,
what was it 30-18 at the end of the first?
Yeah, it was. They took control of the game and never looked back.
And this is where I talk about scripts and building it out. Like you got to like, what's the counter there for the Clippers? It's not a defensive piece. It would be like a Norman Powell,
Fantastic. That's a good point. I like that. Yeah. So runpuresports.com is the place to be. You're getting access to the cores. You're going to get the heat map. You're getting, of course, the premium live shows, such as the Up to Lock show. But one of the cool features, right, AP, that I think really sets us apart, and that's the fact that we have such a stacked crew of coordinators, is that, let's say you missed the show, busy day, a lot of going on. You can jump in the Discord and ask questions like this. And you guys are always in there, the coordinators on the DFS Discord chat, right? But we got to give one to the people right now because I'm asking it. I see other people in the chat asking it. I think it's a great question, Spencer. We have questions like this popping off for the full hour up to lock. So you become a member, jump in that Discord, runpuresports.com, promo code spread15. But the question is, AP, Booker or Jaylen Brown tonight? I think that's a fantastic question. And if you told me, right, and we're just doing the debate show, I think I can make a good argument for either player. Where would you go?
That's kind of tough because I'm just so high on. Yeah, I'm just so high on KD. Like KD is like a lock for me in this game. 9-3, 45 minutes. Let me pull up my projection on KD. I have a base projection, and I'm way over the industry average, but I got a base projection of like 53.7 on him because I'm expecting like 45 minutes again outside of injury, and it's just. I look at that and I look at Booker at 8-7 at that position. Who else can I get? You got to think about the opportunity cost. We talked about Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson was limited due to fouls last game. His usage was insane. I would probably have Jalen Brunson over a guy like Booker. So like for me, it's a game of like, you got to figure out what's the opportunity cost. Like, what am I gaining by going this route versus a different route? So, for me, it's kind of simple. I love KD. I am going to play some Booker builds too. Like I also think there's a path where you could see Booker. I think you mentioned it, but like we can see Booker and KD both get there. But who are we fading to make that happen? You gotta make some big fades out there. So for me, I kind of like Booker, but Jaylen Brown just does so much. I mean, it's really close between those two. I'm probably on those two specific players alone. I'm actually probably underweight the field just because I'm so much higher on a few of the other studs out there. I'm not saying I'm fading them. I'm just underweight the field.
That's a fantastic breakdown, right? And you just that's the type of things you get when you're in that runpuresports.com Discord, or you just like right now, right? But especially during the regular season when we're waiting for that news. The news hits and you're chilling in the Discord and you're watching the Up to Lock show with JSU and Big T, and you're on there too sometimes, AP, and you get these questions answered, right? And it really helps you.
Like I think a great 1v1 tonight is Kawhi Leonard or Kevin Durant. They're almost the same price tag, same Durant. Position. Who are you guys taking?
I like Durant.
I'm taking
Durant. Yes, same here. And a lot of it is Kawhi Leonard is so scoring dependent when you think about him. Now, he can do all the other stuff. He can get the peripheral steals, blocks, and stuff. But KD, what we've seen, he can actually run an offense. I mean, 11 assists last game. He knows, he can do so much more. And it's just that rotation. They got to play him. Like, he's going to be in there almost the entire game. So, but that's kind of like as far as 1v1s goes, that's like where I'm looking tonight. And I'm with you guys. I'm on KD.
All right. Tyler, anything more from this game before we give out the best bets? Quite the show, AP. Thank you for hanging with us.
One prop that stuck out to me big time in this one is a Durant. It's his PRA. It's set at 41.5. We know the guy's going to be out there 40-plus minutes tonight. He went for 27, 9, and 11 in game one. So he cleared that number easily. The minutes are going to be there. He could score. He could score 40 points alone. So that 41.5 on his PRA, I love that bet in this Phoenix.
Where is that? I need that bet. Unbelievable. I got to do that right now. All right. Thank you, Tyler. Let me see if I can get the same odds that you get there. All right, AP, any other thoughts on tonight's slate before we move on to the best bets?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's again, these slates are all about like rotations and trying to find those value pieces to make it work. The lineups, again, they're going to be a little uncomfortable. Like last night's, no one feels good rostering a guy like Davion Mitchell. Just make sure there's a reason behind it. What we saw from game one was he was awesome on Curry. But with that, you can't just be awesome on a guy. You got to hit some shots, and you got to have some luck fall your way. That's what happened with Davion Mitchell. He hit some key shots for the Kings down the stretch. Those 3 balls that he hit were phenomenal. So it's who's going to be that piece tonight. And I'm struggling with value tonight. I'll be honest. Like I am real. Like I don't like Okoro or Osman. I don't even like Craig. I think I don't even like Eric Gordon that much. Like I think it's like it could be Sadiq Bey or Bogdanovich. I also like the Norm Powell call, but he's not really a value. He's 5'2". So it's a tough slate from a value standpoint. And that's where all right, so how do you tackle like a tough slate like that? If you're multi-entering, what I like doing is I just go all in on my most confident guy. You'll look at my lineups and I'll probably have like 85% KD. Maybe I might even lock him in. Like last night, I locked in Cam Johnson, Tobias Harris. It felt gross locking those names in, but that allowed me to get enough combinations out there to find, to eventually have the right one. I think tonight is kind of going to be a night like that, where it's you're mixing and matching and you're trying to find that right value.
All right. We're going to do the best bets right now. Tyler, I'm going to start with you. What's your best bet for the day?
I'm going to roll with that KD prop we talked about just a couple minutes ago, over 41.5 on his PRA. I mean, dude's going to probably play 45 minutes again. He's going to be out there a ton. He could easily almost triple-double like he did last game, 27, 9, and 11. He only took 15 shots in that game, too. He probably sees an uptick in shots. The dude's very easily capable of putting 40 points on the board alone. So I think that PRA is a little low, 41.5 on KD. I like the over there.
All right, Tyler, I love that play. I bet it before you even gave out the best bet. AP, what's your best bet for today?
Oh, man, I think I'm just going to have to take the Knicks Cavs under. I know me taking an under, but gosh, like 214, just with how these teams play, it's going to be a lot of Donnie Mitch against Brunson. You're going to see a lot of isolation play. They're going to slow it down, walk the ball up the court, focus on defense. We saw it yesterday. Like, I don't think it's going to be as ugly as that Nets game was. Like, that game looked – that game was real slow for a while. But I do think that it falls under the total of 214.
All right, AP's on under 214 there for the Knicks and the Cavaliers. Of course, game one was 101-97. Our guy, We the People, great handicapper, chatting with us every day. And he actually loves defense. He just
love that bet.
He just messes with me in the chat. He's actually a big guy, big defensive guy there. He likes Mitchell 35 plus and win there for the Cavaliers. You're getting plus 210 on that number. I'm going to go ahead and take the Clippers. That's my favorite bet for the day. Even though I do think Phoenix comes back and wins, I don't think this is a Clippers team that they can blow out. I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a hard-fought game. I think it's going to be worth staying up for if you're on the East Coast. So I'm looking forward to that one, but I have the Clippers plus 8. Tyler, anything more before we have AP give us words of wisdom to end the show?
No, just one little fun parlay I threw together on the stars in this game because we talked about the Boston game. Maybe there's a route that they keep it a little closer. So you do the Tatum 32 plus points and Boston wins there. We'll take our guy, We the People's best bet, the Mitchell 35 plus and Cleveland wins. And then in that late game, we talk up Durant and how he's going to score a ton of points. He's going to play all the minutes. You add in a KD 30 plus and Phoenix wins that game. That gets you about 18-1 on a parlay. So I don't mind taking a shot on that.
What's that promo code if they want to? You start getting
Tyler
those parlays every day. Tyler 15, runpuresports.com. AP, words of wisdom before we get out of here.
Yeah, I mean it's always fun times over here at Run Pure Sports, but I love the playoffs. I think we're all us three passionate, about it. NBA, just a ton of fun, and I think it can be. You gotta, keep bankroll management, in mind when you're doing it. You're not going to get it You're not going to, predict it and get it right every single night, but when you do, it's a ton of fun. I think we're dialed in right now. We had, Mangone chipped yesterday, Glock chipped. I had a good night. We all feel really dialed. So, man, it's just perfect time to be a member over here. We have the golf show later tonight. Baseball show starts here in 15 minutes. A lot of content coming your way.